Hello, people. It is Friday, August 16th. It's 6 p.m. where I am. I've been dying to get a video these last couple of weeks ever since this Japanese carry trade blew up and the stock market crashed on that one day and everybody was screaming, we need an emergency rate cut now. We need an emergency rate cut now from the Fed. They can't wait till September. It has to be now, right? The whole market is based on what the Fed says and what the Fed does, and you got to be a wordsmith, and that's all like, when did that happen? A couple of weeks ago? It's like ancient history already. But I don't want to talk about that. I've been dying to do a video, and interesting enough, when I got up this morning, I said, I'm going to do a video today. And I know the title. The title is going to be, and I'm going to tell you what the title is, but I changed the title, okay? As I'm recording this video, I now have a new title in mind. Okay, so I'm not going to use what I was originally going to use, but I'm going to say what it was. Gold, 2,470, sell mortar to sell. You remember that movie Trading Places, kind of like a modern day Prince and Pauper theme? Dan Aykroyd, right? He's like this privileged elite guy. He's in the club, right? He's got the money, he's got the girl, he's got the clothes, right? He's got it all, right? And then there's Eddie Murphy, right? He's a street guy, right? He's got nothing, right? And then these two brothers decide they're going to make a bet because we could switch these two guys, right? And Eddie Murphy, he'll do just as good as Dan Aykroyd. The other guy's like, no, he's bred Dan Aykroyd. If you never saw it, it's a funny movie. And I'm not going to get into all the social commentary about that movie, all right? Because there's a lot. I'm not going there. But that one scene when what do? They switch the crop report for oranges, right? It was a bad year. It was good. I forget the details, whatever they made it out, right? And these two brothers going broke, right? And one brother says, sell mortar. They're going to sell, right? And that's what it was like with gold. Gold hit 2,470 and boom, they would hit it every time. Every time. And I called up my friend. Actually, he called me and we got to talking. And he's a stock guy, or at least he was. And so I said to him, gold, 2470. It's like clockwork. They hit it every time. Well, what do you think of it? And he said, well, traders have memories. When it got to 2470 and they know it went down, well, they'll make it go down again. And he says, it's not just gold. It's any asset class that acts like that. All right, that's granted. I can believe that. So this was the chart. And you could see that hard resistance every time it hit 2470. And it's been doing it a lot lately. It would just come down. And I kept saying to myself, this thing is banging at the door. And it's a battle. And they're throwing everything at gold to keep this underneath 2,500. Okay? They're desperate to keep it under 2,500. They're throwing everything at it. And today we broke through, people. Today we broke through. And I wasn't sure if I was ever going to see this. Gold was up about $50 today. It went through 2,500. All right. There's that sell mortar sell, right? And now we have liftoff. There it is. It broke out of that key resistance. So what does that mean? Do we just fly from here? Do we just take off 2,700? Do we pull back? Is it still going to be a battle? Was this the last hill to conquer? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting weekend, people. But it's also interesting that it would do it one day after the anniversary, August 15th, 1971. the day that will live in infamy, when Nixon closed the gold window. It was 53 years ago yesterday, August 15, 1971. Nixon closed the gold window temporarily. Well, it's 53 years. I don't think that's temporary. And ever since then, you have nothing but fiat, paper, Ponzi schemes floating in thin air, not backed by anything. Oh, all the currencies are tied to the dollar. Well, what's the dollar tied to? Nothing. Nothing. And I got this long chart right here. This is going back to 1944, when gold was basically fixed, right? And let's think about that. It's a measurement. It's a weight. It's a weight. You can't change a weight, right? It's fixed. You can't change a length. You can't change a weight, right? That's why it's fixed. But when Nixon took us off the gold window, it's been 53 years, and it's been up and down, and it's been a war to keep gold down at any cost. But they're losing the battle, people. They're losing the battle. All right? We're in a battle. If you're in it, as I have been since 1999, right? There's a lot of carcasses on the road. But I'm still here, believe it or not. And this is the chart right here, right? It starts out fixed. This is from Kitco, straight line. There's Nixon, closes the gold window. August 15, 1971, right there. Right there. Then it has that big move in the 70s, comes back down, does nothing for quite a while. I mean, we're talking, that's like a decade. That's all of the 80s and 90s. It's done nothing up until that arrow. And what is that arrow? That's when I got in. Nick Guarino, the Wall Street Underground. Right there. Talk about timing. Timing is everything, people. Timing is everything. And I always say I did not call the bottom. I just happened to get in on that bottom because I went over my father's house that night, and he said on his kitchen table was a newsletter, free newsletter from Nick Guarino of the Wall Street Underground. I had no idea who he was. I had no idea anything about gold. He said, why don't you take it home? Maybe you're interested. I took it home. I read it. It was a 15, 20-minute read. The next day, as a risk taker that I am, I said, I'm going into gold. I'm buying gold, and I bought it ever since. Okay? Timing is everything. All right? I lived through that slope of hope bear market there. That was brutal. That was brutal. But look at what it formed. It formed that reverse head and shoulder, and then we just took off. All right? And I don't know what Nick Guarino was up to. It's been years since I heard him. Years and years and years. There is an interesting story, though. And I'll tell it now, actually. And I don't remember all the details because it has been years. But at about 10 o'clock at night on the radio every night, at least on Monday through Friday, there was this show. I forget the host's name, but he was like a representative of a gold company, and I don't even remember that name. But it was called like the American Advisor. And I used to get in my car, and I used to just drive around to listen. And he was good. He would talk. He would talk about gold and the economy and everything like this. And I want to say this was about the time frame when it hit this top right before it started to go down, right? And people would call up with questions or comments. And this one woman called up and said to the guy, I can't remember the host's name. He says, but you got to convince my husband. He's got to get into gold. She was in this church, and everybody in the church was buying gold, right? Because, hey, now everybody knew about it. Right here, everybody finally woke up and said, hey, gold, right? I remember I was walking into work one day, and I heard these three guys talking about, oh, gold's a good investment. Yeah, you think? Yeah, it was a great investment down here, when I got into it, now, it's a lot more money. And I should have said, hey, that's the old Kennedy shoe shine story. When I heard those guys talking about, oh yeah, gold, you know what's a good investment to get into? Gold. That should have been my first warning, to get out. Then this woman calls up and says, oh, you got to convince my husband. Everybody in my church is buying gold, and he says, no, it's a bubble. I'm not buying. You got to convince him. Well, you know what, lady? You should have listened to your husband, all right? Because he knew what he was doing. Because right there, it did come down, and that was a brutal bear market. And I lived through that bear market. And let me tell you, it was rough. And I would never want to live through that again. I mean, in the big picture, now that you look at it, it means nothing, really. In the big picture, it means nothing. But when you live through that slope of hope, it goes up. Oh, this is it. It's finally going to go. And then it goes down. And then it goes up again. And then it goes down. And it just happened over and over and over and over and over. It was brutal. I wrote it out. I could have probably got out then, because that was the second warning that I got. The guys hanging out outside, gold investment, this woman, everybody's got to get in. There was a third one. I can't remember what it was. But I didn't. I wrote it out. And here we are now. So let's see what happens. There's 3 articles I want to just reference. And they all basically came out today from Zero Hedge. And I think they're very, very appropriate. Okay? And they're a sign of the times. And the first one, and you don't think they're kind of related at all. They seem like they're very different, but they're actually all an indication of what's going on here now. Illegal aliens steal 1 million Patek at gunpoint. I had no idea what a Patek was. I had no idea. What's a Patek? Turns out it's a watch, okay? Illegal aliens steal 1 million Patek at gunpoint in Beverly Hills Hotel in broad daylight. Up until now, illegal aliens mostly raped and or killed country bumpkins from the flyover states. So the Hollywood propaganda machine wasn't too worried. After all, none of their important Democrat buddies were in danger. But things are changing. And in a dramatic example of just how brazen migrant criminals in the U.S. are becoming, in the confines of such democratic bastions as Tinseltown, 1 week ago, 2 illegal aliens stole a 1 million Patek Philippe wristwatch at gunpoint from a man who was sitting with his wife and daughter at the patio restaurant of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. During the crime, which took place in broad daylight, on August 7th, one suspect pointed a gun at the man while the other removed the watch. I'm not getting into the illegal immigrants. I'm not getting into the robbery. I want to get into a $1 million watch. $1 million for a wristwatch. And this guy has just got it on his wrist in his little restaurant patio in Beverly Hills. Isn't he so good? Where did we get to the point that wristwatches, high-end wristwatches, cost $1 million? And what does this guy do to earn $1 million watch, I want to know, that he could just wear out and about? This is what's the word, people? I don't want to use the word inequality, because that's not strong enough. What is the word? This is the absurdity that we're in now, thanks to the Fed, thanks to Ben Bernanke and his QE, okay? And Janet Yellen, and Jerome Powell, and Greenspan, those banksters, I have that most wanted thing. I should have taken it out. It's good to show them every once in a while, right? That's what they've created. And these are the people that caused the problem that we're now we're putting them in charge to fix the problem. It's over, people. It is over. Global debt hit $315 trillion just today or yesterday. I can't even wrap my head around that number. $315 trillion, thanks to the central banksters of the world. Okay? A $1 million watch. The other guy got stolen. He was outside Carbone Restaurant in Manhattan. I've been to Carbone Restaurant. You can't get into the place. It's impossible to get in. All right? If you're going to get into that restaurant, 2 people, you're going to drop $300 easy. Okay? I got in once in the dead of winter at night outside with a heating fan. Okay? I went there. It's a great restaurant, don't get me wrong. The prices are ridiculous. I'm sure they're completely off the charts now. I haven't looked in years. But you can't even get into the restaurant. So it's packed every night with people who can afford $1 million watches and drop $400 on a dinner. Okay? It's insanity. It's insanity. And it's only going to get worse. So now we come to the next story. Right? Value wars. Right? Value wars. Quick service restaurants are locked in a fierce value war, offering cash-strapped consumers $5 meal deals or even better bargains to maintain their market share. This battle for value has intensified as QSR, quick service restaurants, executives recognize that low and mid-tier households have been financially squeezed by the Biden-Harris economy. With elevated inflation, high interest rates, depleted savings, maxed out credit cards, consumers are in rough shape. So these people, okay, low and mid-tier, they can't even get $5 meals anymore at whatever these quick service restaurants are. KFC, McDonald's, Denny's. There's a whole slew of them, I'm sure. McDonald's was the first to launch $5 meal deals, and Burger King followed suit. On Monday, Yum Brands, KFC, said it would unveil a meal deal of its own in the near term. KFC claps back in value wars with more deals for customers every day of the week. It's a long article. You get the point, people. You get the point. You got guys with $1 million watches on their wrists, and you got the rest of America struggling, going to these quick restaurants, struggling to get a $5 Happy Meal. It's insanity. Thank you, Fed. Thank you, Fed. Yeah, you can blame the politicians also, all right? Absolutely. It's over. It's over. And that's what gold is indicating. Gold is the canary in the coal mine, and gold is saying the mine is about to collapse. You better get out. That's what gold's saying right now. All right? And they hate gold, so they have to stop it. Then the last article, which is another interesting article, with a combined income of $250,000. Now that's a nice income, $250,000. Most Americans don't make $250,000. I don't know what the average salary is in this country. Is it $60,000? I'm not really sure. The average salary. This is a $250,000 income, right? It's about a couple. They can't find a house. They aim to keep their mortgage payment between $3,000 and $3,500, about 30% of their $11,000 monthly income. At $11,000 a month, they want their mortgage to be between $3,000 and $3,500. However, rising home prices and mortgage rates have pushed homes they like to a $5,000 monthly mortgage, nearly half their income. So if they want a house I don't know what neighborhood, I don't know what size house these people are looking for. Their monthly payment is going to be about $5,000. Instead of exceeding their budget, they've opted to wait, paying $2,700 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment and storage. $2,700 a month now just for a 2-bedroom apartment. All right? The report says rising home prices and high mortgage rates have made home ownership increasingly unaffordable. And although the Federal Reserve may cut interest rates, this could drive more buyers into the market, potentially raising prices further and keeping houses supply tight. There you go. It's like you can't. How are you going to get out of this loop? They'll cut rates maybe in September. I don't know what Powell's waiting for. He thinks he's like this uber hawk. The economy is crashing all around us. For people with the $1 million watches, everything is rosy. It's great. For the people who got to put their nickels and dimes together to scrape up a $5 Happy Meal, not so good. All right? And Powell wants to play this charade that he's this uber hawk. And, well, maybe we won't have to cut rates. It's data dependent. This guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's clueless. He should be fired today, immediately. Not that anybody who replaces him will be any better. The other thing, this Harris, who created this mess with Biden, right? Now she's coming out saying we're going to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers if they show that they've been renting for like 3 years. All right, so you're going to give free money, $25,000 to these people, right? To put towards their first house. Where's the $25,000 coming from? From us? It's just more and more debt. That's why we're at $315 trillion worldwide. It's free money. It's not hus, right? What is that going to do to the price of the house? They'll just raise it $25,000 more. The people that have no clue how to fix this thing, the people that broke this thing, they're going to be in charge of fixing it. It's over, people. It's over. So these articles are very telling. The wealth inequality created by the Fed. So, but today is the day, again, it's about gold here today, because gold's smelling it, gold knows it, and gold is now poked his head over that $2,500 mark. All right? We'll see if they hit it. We'll see now if 2470 becomes support. What was once resistance might now become support. All right? It's going to be a battle. I'm sure over the weekend, all these globalist elites, banksters are all going to get together and try to pull some strings. All right? So we'll see what happens Sunday night. But for now, a little battle was won. We took out that hard resistance. There's blood in the streets, okay? But we're ready to go to the next plateau, I think. So stay the course, people. It's not going to get easier. It's not going to get easier. You know? And you know what? I'm going to mention all these articles, too. There's something in mind. There's a Bible verse that I know of, right? And I'm not sure exactly what it means, but I have a thought what it means, all right? It says, a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Okay? A measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And you could look that up, because I've seen it on the internet, because people are talking about this verse. And I know the verse, and to me, what it means, just to scrape up a meager existence, a measure of wheat or 3 measures of barley, is going to take a day's pay. Because back in the day, a penny was like a day's pay. You needed a whole day's pay just to get a measure of wheat, so maybe you could get a loaf of bread or 3 measures of barley, right? To have a little meal. That's your happy meal today. That's your $5 meal that people can't scrape up, right? Because they're hurting. They're out of work. They can't find jobs. Inflation is killing them. Home prices are through the roof. Rent is through the roof, right? But then it says, see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And that's a curious phrase. To me, it means as long as the people can get their $1 million watches, don't hurt them. Do your QE. Make sure stocks keep going up to heaven. All right? Make sure home prices, that everybody's in their home already, right? Don't hurt that. Right? The globalists, the banksters, they don't want to hurt that. That to me is the oil and the wine. So on one hand, you got most people living in poverty, a day's wages just to scrape up a little meal, and the oil and the wine, right? This 1% of people that can sit in Tinseltown at a restaurant outside, right, with his $1 million watch on. That's the oil and the wine. Don't hurt that. That's what I think it means. I could be wrong. But that's, to me, I think I'm hitting the mark right there. I'm going to end it with that. It's a beautiful day out there. It's a Friday. Sun is shining. It's 6:15 now. Get out for a walk. I'm going to do that. I'm going out. Clear your head. Clear your mind, right? Get out. Walk. Enjoy it. It's beautiful out there. Really take advantage of it. I was dying to make this video. I'm glad I had a chance to make it. And we'll see what happens. Enjoy your weekend, people. Ciao.